everyone, welcome to the first session of Virtual Open Day. I hope you found the right URL to the event. And let's check if you can actually hear us right now, if you can type in the comments. No? Any? Okay. Great. So, firstly, congratulations on your acceptance, and hopefully we'll see you here in Aalto in the future. And the purpose of this session is to answer your submitted questions related to the studies and social life here. And we can. So here are mostly our student ambassadors and other students representing the 8 majors inside CCIS program, and we can go in a round to introduce ourselves. I'm Dicle from Software and Service Engineering major, and I come from Turkey, so in Turkish, tebrikler. And we can go maybe from there to here.
Hi, my name is Isman. I'm studying in acoustics and audio technology. This is my second year. Onnea kaikille valituille ja tervetuloa Suomeen.
Hi, my name is Charlotte and I'm from China. I'm an exchange student and I'm here for 1 year and 大家好，我叫周月，我来自中国。
Hello everyone, I'm Eda and I'm studying communications engineering. This is my first year in Aalto. Aalto'ya hoş geldiniz.
Hello everyone, my name is Preeti. I'm studying Macadamia program here. This is my second year and I'm from India.
Hi, my name is Farah. I'm from Jordan and I'm studying communications engineering in the wireless technologies track and I'm from Jordan. Ahlan wa sahlan.
Hi everybody, I'm Sunil. I'm doing my master's in mobile computing services and security and I'm from India.
Okay, so
and we also have another person there who's doing the technology stuff, who's the one who saved us out of all these technical difficulties. So that's Dragoș. He's from Romania. If he would be kind enough to show himself on the screen.
They need to do so. Okay, so from now on we'll try to cover as much questions as we can. According to your upvoted prioritized questions. So the first, just to mention that someone asked, is it possible to view this live stream later on YouTube? Yeah, it's automatically recorded, so anyone can take a look at it later on. And we can start with the questions related to studies, since there are many. So the first one goes like, can we do our master's thesis projects under a professor and get paid for it? Anyone wants to answer that?
I can do this.
Yeah, sure.
So you can do it for the professor, for the university, or then for some company. And usually if you do it for a company, then they'll pay you. But if you do it for the university, it depends on the project that it's related to. If they have the money, then you can get paid for it, but often you don't.
And maybe I could answer that as well. So I'm working on my thesis right now in machine learning and data mining, and yeah, so I've been working in a research group for a while, and my professor is paying me for that. Yeah, so it really depends on which research group and the funding amount in that research group.
Okay. Then going further with macadamia, there's a question that how theoretical is macadamia masters, and did you struggle to keep the pace?
Okay, so it is theoretical in the sense that it goes into the basics of the subject. It's not a cursory data scientist or data science kind of a program where you just learn how to apply, but you rather learn how algorithms work and how to design algorithms. So in that sense, it is quite it's quite good and rigorous. There's a lot of mathematics, so I would, in the beginning, since I had a gap between my bachelor's and master's, I struggled with a bit of mathematics. But yeah, if you're good on your matrix calculus and linear algebra, I guess you can pick up everything. Yeah.
Great. And then we can go with what is the honors program and what proportion of total students get into honors program? And they also ask like how and when can apply to that.
I think I can answer that because I'm in the honors program. Actually, for me at least, I didn't apply to it. I don't think you can apply. It's kind of automatic with your application process. When they look at your application and your CV, if they think that it's a benefit for them and you to have you in the honors program, they offer you the position. At least for me, it was offered before I had to make a choice, so I knew about it from early on. And what were the other details?
It's just like do you know how many people get into honors program?
I don't think it's too many who get into the honors program. I think like 2 from every major, something like that, a year. But there's a lot of opportunities to do other things other than the honors program as well in research groups and also get paid for it. So I would say that because it's such a small university and it's really easy to get to know your professors from one course, and then you can immediately be a teacher's assistant just because you did well on a course next year. It's not too complicated.
Yeah. And to add to that, in the first year, it was the same case for me as well, that they select you out of your application. You don't have to separately apply. But for second year, you can apply. So everybody was open to apply. So this is 1 year at a time. So even if you did not get it in the first year, it's still fine. You can apply for the next year. And the advantage with honors program is that you get to work 1 day a week. So it doesn't have to be through honors program. If you manage to talk to some professor and your research interest aligns with them, and if they have funding, they would easily take you. Or there's always a possibility to do it without being paid.
Yeah. Great. And then there's a most simple question. What do I need to graduate? I can answer that, I guess. I think it's the same with all majors that you have to collect 120 credits, including your thesis, which takes 30 credits. And you have, I think it's still the case that you have actually maximum 4 years to finish your studies. And it's not that hard to keep the pace. I mean, it's quite different, for example, from my previous studies that you have to take many courses to actually complete your master's. But since they have the period system here instead of semesters and one school year consists of 5 periods and there are courses opening in each period. So it shouldn't be that hard to collect all their credits.
But as a side note, you have 4 years to complete your studies as a study right for the university, but your residence permits usually demand that you finish 45 credits a year. So that means that maybe you can finish in 3 if you needed to.
Yeah.
Not 2, but yeah.
So I think mostly people at least finish all the courses in 2 years and then just extend their thesis to the next one. Yeah. Okay, and then we can go with, is there an option to do internship as part of the coursework? There's anyone?
Well, I've heard of someone doing it as it's not mandatory, but you can do it, and then you just make a report of your internship and get the credits. It's maybe 3-5 credits.
Yeah, a maximum of 5 credits. I did a summer internship last summer, and it was something that I sought out myself, and then you can get credits for it.
Special assignment?
It's called traineeship program or something, scientific training program or something like that. So you can get credits for it. Yeah, but there is always a lot of internship opportunities where you can go.
Aalto is very connected to the industry, and in Finland the tech industry is really growing and they always want more students involved in everything. So it's especially for the summer, applying for a summer job early enough, there's a good chance that you get something.
Yeah. And so what are the typical means to communicate with the course staff? Did you even try to
Um,
communicate with them?
Yeah, I talk to the professors all the time as
Yeah.
well, but really they're so accessible. It's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
even if you meet a professor in the canteen or something, you're just chatting with them and seeing them. Like, it's a very kind of personal one-on-one level where you feel like you're somehow equals to the professors, and they're so approachable, all of them.
Yeah.
And they always they're insanely supportive every time that you need something, some kind of help for the course, or even if you're having a personal problem or you need some guidance, they're always ready to be as supportive as they can. And I think it's a really unique thing that I didn't
think
experience
so.
before.
Yeah, even like it's a really minor difference maybe, but you can like here they want you to call them by their first name, which is pretty different from my home country actually. So yeah, it is really easy to access your course staff and professors.
Yeah, and if you really need a specific answer, then for all of our courses, we use a website called My Courses, and in there is forums to interact with professor, staff, as well as other students. So there's a lot of activity happening, and the courses are actually very interactive because of it. Yeah, and then you can always email, and we have weekly office hours with teaching assistants as well as professors sometimes. So there's always quite a lot of chances to meet.
And just to add to that, I think every course has this email ID which is accessible to all the professors and the teaching assistants. So
Yeah.
you can mail your queries there. I've mailed there many times and got a reply even on weekends.
Yeah. And okay, kind of related to that, someone asked, please tell us about your best teachers and best courses. But yeah, if there's something unique that you need to mention.
Well, there is actually there's this student association AYY, which every year runs the best teacher award where students can give nominations. So I know that consistently there is one computer graphics course. I haven't taken that, but it consistently comes up at the top. And then this time there was a complex networks course, which was there. And that happens to be my favorite course as well.
I think this time the best teacher award was won by Thomas. From information security.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yes.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, that's a popular one.
Yeah.
But in general, the courses are really nice.
I would also add that as far as courses go, I also really like that they're very up to date in communications engineering, at least. Although you do get a lot of theory all the time, but you also have a lot of courses that just tell you what's going on in technology, what does 5G look like, where are we headed, how do we get there, and they really encourage you to read recent publications and papers. And when I was applying for summer jobs, when I was interviewed and being asked things, I was always thinking like, wow, I really learned all of this. So cool. So yeah, it's quite up to date, I would say, from my experience.
Yeah, and in general, quite a lot of courses are where you follow up the recent publications. So there are seminar courses where students read a lot of papers and then discuss it in the class. So in those terms, or now that there is this deep learning hype, last year we also had a course which was like quickly structured or newly structured for the program itself. So it's quite up to date with the advancements in the industry. So you're not just taking courses that have been there forever, but
Yeah, to add to Preeti, I can just cite one example. There was this course which was not there in Aalto about Internet of Things. So we just went and spoke to the professor, and then we have this course in the 5th period. So yeah, it's like in 3 months the course is there. Yeah, so you can always speak to professor if you don't have something in the list.
And actually, quite related to that, someone asked, is the structure of the degree rather focused on presence for lectures and assignments, or is it also common to follow a lecture only based on its scripts and books? Anyone wants to?
I can answer that.
Yeah.
I think I've hardly read a book in Aalto. They're mostly based on assignments, and because all of these topics are so new and so recent. So I think most of the times we have to read some kind of research paper. But hardly we have to read any books. Sometimes I have to refer to the books if I'm not good with the fundamentals. So otherwise, no books.
And for me, you do need to use books in most of the classes for knowing how to solve the assignments, but at least it's really hard to miss a lot of lectures. You cannot just say like, oh, I'll just sit at home, because a lot of like most of the courses here are more focused on assignments and being there in the class, and they help you solve the assignments or some kind of group work, much more than exams. So actually in this entire semester I have one exam, even though I took 30 credits. So all of the time, for me at least, you really need to do so much work during the semester with assignments and group work and everything, but the stress is kind of split over the time period, so you don't have this one super stressful week of a lot of exams and panic. It's more like, oh, just a little work here and there, and then you have the credits.
And there is no mandatory attendance, if that was the question.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah,
But
usually.
rarely.
Mostly not, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can always, if you have some conflicting courses, which happens sometimes, there are two courses that you're taking at the same time, so you can always skip one and take the other and follow up with the slides, as well as, forum comes into hand at this time. So it's pretty possible. If you don't want to attend classes, that's fine. Nobody would force you to do it.
I would add to that, like mostly because master courses are not super crowded as bachelor courses, I would say, and like in my lectures, it's mostly group work and discussion going on, so it's better for you if you attend the lectures actually. And we do not really use books, but we always use publications for the assignments and so on, and also for the stuff we discuss in the lectures as well. So that's how it basically goes. And someone asked about, please tell us about laboratory exercises available for students. I didn't have anything related to that so far, but if anyone has.
Laboratory exercises. Well, if we did have a laboratory course where we had to do some measurements, some performance analysis, stuff like that. But also you have a lot of laboratory assignments, in the sense that you have to do a lot of assignments in general, and some of them you need to use software or simulation, stuff like that within the course, more than it's just a lab course. I think probably in masters there's not a lot of lab courses, at least.
I think so.
Or it depends on the major that you're in. I can't imagine any lab work for a machine learning program.
Yeah, but probably if you're in a mechanicals engineering or something, you're doing a lot of lab work. Or I know that actually.
Or if you meant the computer science labs, or just lab where you're doing some practical, then a lot, because most of the course I feel are very practically oriented. You're not really cramming a book or just reproducing it. That's never the case, even for the exam. So it really depends on how well you're understanding it. So there's a lot of practical work that happens.
For sure.
Sorry, in acoustics, we have those anechoic chambers where we do measurements, and right now we have this electroacoustics course where we're going to build a loudspeaker in Teams and then measure it in the chambers. So that's maybe our laboratory.
I get it. Yeah. Okay. Cool. And so can I pursue a PhD after the masters? Are there separate applications for this? I think this is a pretty popular question.
So yes, you can pursue your PhD. In fact, this time I don't know if everybody was aware, because it just started this year. There was you could directly apply to doctoral program. Well, you would first do the masters and then PhD, but that was only open for a few programs. I think macadamia was one of them, and life sciences maybe. I don't remember, but bioinformatics was the other one. Yeah. So, and otherwise, if you want to do your PhD, there is a common forum between University of Helsinki and Aalto University where you can apply. It's called HICT. And you put your application there, and then it's the normal process. But then it's not very difficult to continue to PhD if you would like to. It all depends on how well have you defined your research, and if there is a professor who matches your research interests. But it's quite possible.
And because of the small student body and the small classroom size, the opportunity to connect to professors and kind of make them know you and maybe try to do some research with them before, I think opens up opportunities to be accepted for a PhD program as well.
Yeah, and there's the easiest way to continue for PhD is to do your master's thesis with some professor. And every summer I see a lot of job openings for master's thesis where professors themselves publicize that they would like to take some. And yeah, so then it's not that difficult. So the barrier for entry is quite low, I would say.
Okay, so we can move on to other types of questions related to other aspects of life here. So someone asked, like, does the program have a study association? Anyone? Well,
Maybe Draco should take this one.
What was the question?
does the program have a study association?
Study association. Well, we have clubs all over Otaniemi and besides AYY, and you need to choose like the club which is specific to your field of study. But yeah, I would say so. You have a lot of opportunity to join like-minded people to help you in your studies and stuff like that.
Yeah, and mostly like departments have guilds
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
so you can definitely join them.
And then there is this AYY association, which is the student association. They take care of a lot of things, right from legal things required for students to health and and then I guess they mentioned about the guilds. Every department has their own guild, which works as okay.
It's kind of like a student club where you can basically do anything from just hang out in the room and play video games or go on excursions where you have no clue where you're going and why. But yeah, it's a lot of different activities, and I think that from what I've seen in Finland, the kind of Tekkari, the technical university, like a campus like ours, is really tradition oriented. They have a lot of things that they've been doing for hundreds of years, and they're gonna keep doing them, and they're really fun to see. There's a lot of traditions that I was not aware of before, and a lot of chances for international students to join as well. And it's really unique, very unique student life, I would say.
Yeah, one of the major parts of being a freshman or a Tekkari is earning your Tekkari cap. So to earn it, you have to collect a lot of points. So your guild gives you a card, and you have to check all those points, and that's a lot of effort and effort in a very fun way.
Yeah.
So maybe a Finnish person can actually tell you exactly how it feels.
Well, it's just like you said, so many traditions, so many things. You can do sports, you can have great parties, you can just hang out, excursions. Maybe some new evenings we have just tasting wine and chocolate or just anything.
Or sauna. Which
yes.
Yeah. There's always some.
If you've never saunaed before and never liked it, you will here.
Yeah.
It's a impossibility not to do saunas in
and not to like it also.
Yeah.
And there is a sauna after everything. A party has a after sauna party, or a sit has a sauna. So no matter what you're doing, there will be a sauna after that. And there's this tradition of having a pre-party and after party, and sometimes after party.
Yeah. Okay, and someone asked, like, is the study schedule so hectic that it doesn't allow you to take part in this extracurricular activities?
I guess the previous answer answers
Yeah.
this question.
I think
It's it's very possible, especially if you don't stress yourself out. Like if you want to finish every course in the world in like one period, you're not gonna have time. But as long as you go with the recommended pace or slower, then you have a lot of time.
I think there is this thumb rule that 1 credit equals to 27 hours of effort. So it's like how much credits you take in a period that will define how much effort you have to put in.
Okay, then let's go to another aspect. So how prevalent is the language barrier, and is it very difficult to survive without a good basic knowledge of Finnish language, and what level of knowledge is expected by Finnish companies? They ask, so maybe you can.
Would you
I don't know if I'm the
And I can answer that.
Actually,
I'm working here, so yeah, I think here most of the companies don't expect you to know English. They're multinational, and like all my interviews, all my communications are in English. Even where I'm working, mostly Finnish people, but we always communicate in English. So, not knowing Finnish has never been a challenge for me. So even like traveling around Helsinki or anywhere in bus, most of the people they know English.
Yeah.
At least in the
In-
Helsinki area.
For at least living and for student life, you for sure do not need to
Yeah.
know anything beyond how to say thank you. Like it,
Yeah.
you really don't. But because it's a hard language, I think that you're not expected to learn it so much. So it's quite okay. You can survive with English very easily. Finns are really really good at English, and like mostly anyone you interact with, especially in the university, is going to be fluent. So it's quite okay. But I would say that a lot of companies need it. So if you're planning to live your whole life in Finland, it's worth learning Finnish. But if you're just planning to do your thesis and maybe summer job, then yeah, for sure you don't need it.
Yeah, sure.
In general, most of the Finnish population speaks English. So even when you're doing shopping or traveling in a bus or anywhere, in general, you don't really need any other language. They're extremely accommodating, and they don't get offended at the fact that they have to switch a language to talk to you. So they're really, really nice people. Yeah.
Well, many of the events that the guild organizes are in Finnish, but if you're brave enough, you can just go there and someone will speak to you and explain what's it about and what you should do. Like sit, for example.
Yeah, we still have this international events also. So
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
in English by the guild. Yeah.
And in fact, to give a very straight example, every email sent by the guilds is in 2 languages, and all the events are written in 2 languages. So that speaks to how much they want to integrate international students as well. So, yeah. So as long as you're slightly accommodating, I think it works perfect.
Okay, then maybe we can switch to the questions like related to jobs and stuff. So someone asked like, how is the startup culture at Aalto? Which is like, super easy to answer. I guess.
It's amazing is the short answer.
It's hard to avoid those startups.
Exactly.
Really, I don't want to create a startup, and I'm always like, stop it. They're everywhere.
And it's a really great ecosystem. So recently I attended a talk by a Nobel laureate in economics. So the whole startup thing started with him. So there were a few students who went to MIT, I think, and they spoke a little about how do we build this ecosystem to this professor, and he gave a few ideas, and then they came back and they started a whole lot of associations around startup. So there is Startup Sauna, there is Aalto CCIS, Startup Life, and there's quite a lot of them. There is a Design Factory, a huge premise where there is space for new upcoming startups to come there and work. And every year, Startup Life or Startup Sauna organizes where you can go to San Francisco and do an internship somewhere. Or every summer there is a summer of startups where you pitch an idea and they support you in starting your own startup. So there's I could go on for an hour about it, but the answer is it's amazing. It's unparalleled to most places in the world, equivalent to the Ivy Leagues in the US, I would say. It's really, really good.
And to add to what Preeti said, there is this slush event, which is like the biggest startup event in Europe. So it happens in Helsinki.
Exactly, and that was started by these people who I mentioned went to this professor. So they just came back and started with just a few people, and then over 8 years it has expanded so much that now it is the biggest startup event in Europe.
Yeah. If anyone didn't catch what it was called, it's Slush, SLUSH.
Yeah.
It's a really big event.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, this being an entrepreneur is like embraced hugely in Aalto. Like, there is a program just dedicated to that.
The AVP program.
Yeah, it's called Aalto Ventures Program. You can check it out, and you can always you don't have to have it as a major or minor either. Like, you can just go and take courses from there and include it to your studies. And they always organize some free workshops anytime, so you can definitely be exposed to this startup culture an
I'll-
idea.
I'll go a little off topic because you reminded me of something that I also didn't know before I started, and that's for your electives at Aalto, you can take any course you can physically think of. So if I wanted to take a course in art and go to the other Aalto campus that's in Helsinki, and I wanted to just learn that for an elective, then there's nothing that stops me. So any course on the list you can take as an elective. So from any of the art or business or engineering schools, and that's really cool.
And if I'm not wrong, even you can take courses from Helsinki University
Exactly.
and add
Yeah.
it to your
Yes.
transcript here.
Yeah.
So it's
And then if you take enough courses from a minor, then you can make that a minor in
Yeah.
most cases.
Yeah, the structure of the degree is pretty flexible, I would
Yeah.
say.
Even the courses that you have to take within your program, usually there's so many choices, and then you can just look like, oh, I care more about the radio stuff than the other things, and just tailor your own kind of degree. I think there's a lot of flexibility to do that. Not 100% with everything, but a lot.
And like, it just reminded me that like actually Aalto is really keen on taking like other courses because they are based on multidisciplinary
Yes.
studies, so they actually want you to take these courses from different faculties. Like, or even if it's like offered in your faculty, for example, there are always people taking it from like business school if it's mostly a design project, for example, or like any project courses taken by students from other majors and faculties. So you learn a lot from each other, I would say.
Yeah.
in these
Yeah.
courses.
to give an example of how interdisciplinary. First, I guess you already know there is a game design program which is between computer science and arts. And I can't really think of many programs in the world which would combine these two together to come up with a game design master's program. Or there was a course this time we had about machine learning and material sciences. So it was about applying machine learning to material sciences field, and it was taught by professors from both the fields. So there's a lot of interdisciplinariness right to the core of it. So they don't just say that we are interdisciplinary, but it's really seen in most of the courses.
Okay, and someone asked like, where are all the ICT-based companies located? Are there many in Helsinki?
Yeah.
There are many. Yeah.
And they are located quite nearby. There's just 10-minute walk from here. There's a lot of ICT companies, and then there are in the Helsinki as well, about 10-15 minutes by bus. And yeah, so
And some in Espoo, and also some all around Finland. So, for example, there's some companies in ICT in Vasa, I know, and Oulu, if that's pronounced that way.
Oulu.
Oulu.
And Tampere.
And Tampere,
Yeah.
yes.
So yeah, it's not hard to find them. I think. Okay, so then another really important subject is accommodation. I think everybody has questions related to that, so we can cover that. So people ask like, is there student residence in Aalto, like, or are there regular accommodations close to university, and so on. And like someone also asked about like what is Otaniemi and surrounding areas like that. So we can talk a bit about the campus and accommodation, how it goes. And
who wants to
take the
Yeah,
lead.
I can answer that. I applied. I'm staying in Eva accommodation. So, so there is this Eva accommodation website. It's called Domo. So I think you just place your applications there, and I think most of us get an accommodation. So there are various types of accommodation available, where from single occupancy to like friends accommodations and all. And the accommodations are really, really good. Not all are furnished. The furnished apartments are very few, but otherwise there are many accommodation. And recently I read this AYY newsletter where there are new apartments coming up. So I think they should be available for the next one. So there are more options.
So there's a lot of chances of living on campus. So, like for example, I live 10-minute walk away from most of my classes, but there's as well a lot of nice apartments in Helsinki and in Espoo, and it's quite easy to move around with bus and everything. And I think that it's probably subsidized or something because the rent is much cheaper than you would expect it to be in Finland, because I mean, you can find an apartment for 250 euros a month, or a room.
200
And-
euros also.
Ah, 200 euros. And like if you go to 300 or even 400, then yeah, then maybe you have your own bathroom and your own kitchen and stuff like that. And it's also if you get an unfurnished apartment, I was a little worried about that because mine was unfurnished, but then it's so easy to get used furniture. So secondhand is really big on Facebook. You can just, you know, look for a bed, look for everything, and transport them. So it's quite easy. And the accommodation is usually nice. Students are grouped together, so you can also like live near your friends and near other international students. And
I think I can add that the furnished apartments are usually a bit more expensive. Like 400 or 500 euros like for a month.
Yeah.
So I recommend the unfurnished ones.
yeah.
And also actually the apartments are not so many, so I recommend you to apply as soon as possible.
For sure.
As
Like-
for me, I moved like 3 times, and first of all, I lived in Helsinki, and it took me an hour to get here. So like I have to get up like in 8 a.m. and it's like freezing cold. So I recommend you to like live as near as possible.
Yeah.
Like for the CS program, I recommend you to live in Otaniemi, of course.
And to add to that, there was a question about how easy is it to find an apartment. So I would say if you apply soon enough, as soon as you decide to accept the offer, then you would most probably get an accommodation. And even if you don't, you would get it in a couple of months, I would say.
I know some students who came here and didn't have an accommodation, but it was usually because they really applied late on the website. So there's two, like there's HOAS and there's AYY for accommodation, and they both have websites. And if you apply really late and then you have like these filters, and if you put insanely specific things like super small rent and really nice apartment, then you're not gonna get something easy enough. So I say like, yeah, try to be a little loose with your filters and do it as early as possible. Then you can get something close to campus, and I think that's the most important thing, like much more important than how the apartment actually is.
Yeah,
So I mean,
almost all the apartments are really nice. The standard of living in Finland is quite high, so even if you choose like the lowest filter, you will still get a quite nice apartment. And all the apartments here, you get free internet, electricity, and everything is paid with it. You have laundry turns and you have sauna turns. So it's a very luxurious living if you don't mind too many things. And by the way, about Otaniemi is the campus where we have the technical university here. It's a lovely campus. We'll probably post a few URLs later, YouTube videos where you can actually take these drone videos of the whole campus and you can see Otaniemi. It's by the shore, like I think 100 meters there.
yeah, we're looking
Actually,
at
can
this.
we show that? Rotate the camera a bit. Yeah,
Not sure how much
this
it
is the
will
view that we
show.
have. I don't know how much you can see.
Yeah. But it's really nice. Like if I get bored of studying in the library, 5 minutes walk and I'm by the sea, and it feels like completely away from campus and away from everything, and I can just take a walk or jog.
Yeah,
So-
and quite a few apartments have sea view, so you can't really choose that. But I live like 100 meters away from the beach or whatever you can call it, so by the sea.
Can I add that
Yeah.
when applying for the student union, the AYY apartments, of course the line for the apartments is longest during August, September. And I think there's this rule that if you want to start your living there in August or September, then your application won't be accepted until July or something, because the Finnish students that apply here, they
really?
get to know their studying, they'll get accepted in June or July. So they want to have the equal opportunity for them also to apply for the apartment. So if you apply for the apartment, you may not know until
Yeah.
like
Apply
July.
super early, but don't expect to hear back super
Oh
early.
yeah. That's
But you
true.
will hear back. Like for me, at least, I panicked a little because it was a month and away from being here, and I still don't have an apartment. But then I got it, and everyone else who applied early gets it eventually. But yeah, just do it early.
Yeah, and there are these emergency housing. So if you come here and there is no housing, you will not be on the streets. They will give you some place, and usually around that time, the support system is really nice. So people even open up their houses to just accommodate new coming students. So you don't have to be worried about.
But it's not a nice situation to be in, so really apply early.
And the earlier what Iso mentioned was about AYY, but HOAS applications start earlier, so you don't have to wait for until July for HOAS, I think. So just keep track of both the places to apply.
And like for AYY, I think like newcomers are prioritized in too. So
first year.
it's like other than, for example, me getting a place now on the campus, newcomers will have it first.
Yeah.
So like you got the chance, just apply early and you'll get it.
And one fun fact about Otaniemi, it's
I think
the poorest living area in Finland because there are only students, and all the areas around Otaniemi are the richest ones.
True. Okay, and like there are some questions about the campus, how it looks like. There are some links to some videos in the description that can give you a glimpse of how the life here is and around Otaniemi. And also another side note about Otaniemi, they're actually, because now Aalto University has multiple campuses, but they're trying to merge all the faculties in Otaniemi, so it's going to be more crowded but more fun, I would say, because like for example, art students and business students are moving here, so like a lot of different places are actually like renovated like for these art students where you can also make use of, so it's gonna be more interesting. And some people ask about the library, like does the library have space for group projects?
Oh my goodness.
Or is it good? Of course. I mean,
the infrastructure here is amazing. Well, Finland and Aalto are known for their design, so it's just absolutely amazing. You would feel like I don't think you would feel like you're in a university because you have such lovely. I wish we could show you around, but we can't. But
we have a bed in the library.
There is a bed right on the third floor.
They really value comfort here, so there's couches everywhere. And actually, I heard from a lot of exchange students that one of the nicest things they think about being here is how easy it is to find a space to study. Because in a lot of countries, if you can like even have a university where you have to queue for the library, and here there's so many spaces, it's crazy, and you can book everything. Like if there's a classroom that's not being used at an hour, you can go online and book it for you and your friends to do group work. And the library is open 24/7. Computer lab is open 24/7. So it's really impossible to not find a place to sit.
Yeah.
Really, like I wouldn't see a scenario where that would happen.
Yeah.
And there is this computer science building which is open 24/7, where even if you go at 3 in the night, there will be a lot of people working. So it's really nice. And in the library here, I think the computer science library is the really beautiful one. We even have a little hut where you could sleep if you're tired, and there are these bean bags on the floor, and you can sit down and do some work together. There are little themed meeting rooms. There's tomato, pumpkin, basil of the appropriate color. So it's a really lovely place to stay.
And to add to that, if you needed to stay in the university really late, at least for me, it was also a really nice thing that I really feel safe here. So if I leave campus at 2 a.m., which I've done, and walk home, which is 10 minutes away, I never feel like I'm endangered or anything. So because it's also such a student place, so everyone you meet on the street is going to be a student, and it really feels very safe everywhere, even on campus and beyond. And that's a nice advantage to being in Finland.
Okay, then I think like we can kind of close the session with the question of, would you choose to study at Aalto again? And like, if so, why? If not, what would you like to see changed? So I think that's a good question to close the session with.
I think I can answer that because I'm an experienced student and I'm thinking about my master program. I think I'm going to study here again because the courses are pretty good and you can learn some practical stuff. And also the cost here is pretty low, and I think even not so much in China because just not so much, pretty cheap, and you can also find your jobs pretty easily. And I think the most important thing is the teachers. They are, in the previous questions, they are very nice and they are pretty accessible. And I think I'll definitely choose to study here again.
I think I can also add something. I was an exchange student here, and then after studying in Aalto, I decided that I want to come for a master's degree because of all the reasons we talked, like the life in Finland, how people are welcoming, how they are helpful, like in general in Finnish culture. Also about the studies, all the professors that help you all the time. They don't want to they don't force you to learn. They just want you to understand something. Like the point is not just passing the course. The point that you understand, you get the point. Like they just want to add something on your knowledge. So everything is pretty, I say, perfect here. Like Aalto, the student culture and everything, they they give you so many opportunities about the jobs, about the internships, about studies, everything. So life is really good here.
Yeah, I think I have something to add because obviously I'm Chinese and I'm Asian, and I heard a lot that in like a lot of other countries, like there's obvious discrimination against Asians, and I have a classmate who's studying in another country, and he told me that when he walks in the street, someone's gonna say like fucking Asian, something like that. But here I think everything is very fair and equal, and everyone treats me very nicely and friendly, and they just treat me like a normal person, and I never came to that thing once. So I think I definitely recommend you to be here.
Yeah.
I would add to what she said, that here the focus is on not so much on learning by heart or anything. And something very surprising for me was here that you can take an exam multiple times, and if you fail, it doesn't show up on your transcript. So you can take the same exam, I think, 3 times.
Yeah.
And exam happens. So there would be first exam in some period, and then it repeats again, and so on. So that's really nice. And to add to about discrimination or just integration of all the people, I would say that I feel extremely welcomed here. People really treat you nice, and you don't even get a hint that you are not in your home country. So people are extremely nice. You must have heard that Finnish people don't talk as much, or they are amongst themselves. Well, that is true, yet it is not equivalent to them being not friendly to you. It's just that that's the norm here. People don't talk as much, and when they talk, they have some purpose for talking. So, but then it's a really lovely place. And whether I would come back to Aalto or if I had to do it all over again, definitely. So I'm about to graduate in a few months, and I wish that I had a few more months because there's so much to do. I wanted to use the startup sauna and go for some startup, or there are this various programs. There's one program with Stanford where it's called ME 320, I think, or something like that.
Yeah,
so,
ME3, yeah.
Yeah, so you can actually do a course with, you form groups and you work on a real life project with some company. It's a year-long project, and you work with Stanford and a few other colleges. And so there's just so many other varieties. These are just a few examples. Every month, I think twice a month, we have some speaker from the industry or somewhere coming and giving a talk here as part of Aalto Venture program and so on. So there's just so many things happening that I wish I had more time here. Yeah, so I would definitely come back.
And I would add, like, about the discrimination, no need to worry. I think, like, I've been around Europe in many different countries, and like this is the place I felt that there is no racism or discrimination whatsoever towards you. Yeah. And then about so they're really interested in deep learning here, and I would say that we're from like both really good universities in Turkey, but the approach to studies is completely different here. For example, there we had it was a really hardcore program we had, but like we never like inquire what we were learning. Like here, the most question you were asked is why. Like you're given an information and you always need to dig deeper in that. That's why you always have discussions going on. And like, for example, I had some essay assignments, for example, and like for the first times I was writing them, like the feedback I always got was, okay, you analyzed the information that was given, but we cannot see your point of view. So what they're aiming is that you have it in your own style, that you have a different point of view to the whole subject. So I think that is like that is the thing I like the most about my studies. And also the close collaboration with the industry. Like in many courses, there are the projects that are given to you are supported by some companies in the industry. So that gives you a good chance of networking already.
You need to also keep an open mind about the very different study structure, because for me in the beginning it was annoying. Like I thought, oh, too much group work, too many assignments. I just want to take an exam and be done with it. And because that's what I'm used to. That's what I did all my life. But eventually, after like really making a conscious choice to be open-minded and see the value of what I'm doing, I really realized that I can just cram before an exam and just study for a week straight, and then I forget everything, and it's completely useless what I've done. But here you do like continuous work, and it might be a little annoying if you're not used to it, but then eventually you really finish a course being like, I know what I learned, and I know why I learned it, and how I'm going to apply it, and that's really valuable.
I'd like to say that, well, this is my 5th year actually here in Aalto, and well, basically I just have my thesis left, and I'm feeling a bit sad because it's almost over. And well, now all these things that you've said during this session, it's like I haven't been appreciating those things so much because I haven't seen the other side. So, and now I'm even more sad. I must say that Aalto has developed a lot during this 5-year period. All the courses, the professors are really putting effort to like making the courses good, so that it's not just the exam, but there's really learning happening.
And I really feel like students have a feeling that they matter. I don't know if you feel that way.
Yeah.
You're not just another random person, a nameless person in a 200 student class. No, you're like, you really matter. You can talk to the professor. Your opinion is valuable. Your feedback is like even more important than I've ever seen. Like they really want to improve the courses. They want you to tell them what they're doing wrong, what they're doing right, and you really feel like you contribute to Aalto. Like I don't feel like just a student. I feel like a part of it. So it's really interesting.
Yeah. As for that, I think there's a course that I participated, and I barely talked. I think I missed nothing in the lecture, but at the end, the professor she still remember my name. I think it's a very nice thing.
About the feedback, I know that we're just going on and on, but that's just so much we have to talk about Aalto. So you get to give feedback for all the courses, and I remember some of us gave, so the feedback opens before the course closes, and we gave some feedback, and the course staff already saw the feedback before the end of the program, and they quickly made a few changes to accommodate right within that. So the feedback was that we did not have enough office hours to talk to the professor, and immediately next week she cleared 3 of her days to say, okay, you can book slots with me and we will discuss. So it's such quick feedback, and it's not feedback for the sake of surveys or anything, but to really improve.
Maybe we should conclude.
Do we have any time for live questions or?
Yeah.
Go ahead. If you have any questions, then maybe we can just take for a couple of more minutes. You can type it in the live chat, or you could tell how you felt about it.
Definitely.
Yeah, and while that happens, maybe I'll endorse tomorrow's session as well. So tomorrow we have a session with professors. I hope we were very surprised and highly motivated with the kind of questions that we got today. So we hope to have a few more questions tomorrow as well. And yeah, so we'll see you again tomorrow. If you don't have anything, then
Yeah,
just go
I
and close.
hope this session was helpful for you. We tried to cover almost all the questions we received, so I hope it suited your concerns if you had any, or
And if you have
Get you.
more and you want to contact us, you can also email back to the email that emailed you, and we'll be happy to help.
definitely.
I need to get to a lecture, so.
Yeah, thank you for
Right.
joining.
All right, and congratulations for your acceptance.
Yeah.
See you.